Hello dear students, welcome to Bajirao IAS Academy interview guidance program. So in today's lecture we are going to discuss about the public distribution system and particularly the smart public distribution system that was recently introduced in order to reform the existing public distribution system. So by the end of this lecture, you will understand what is the smart public distribution system and how it ensures the efficiency and effectiveness of the public distribution system. And apart from that, what are the measures that were taken by the government in recent times in order to further reform the existing public distribution system. So as part of this, we will also understand the problems or the challenges that the public distribution system has been facing. So after that, we will also briefly discuss the International Criminal Code. So International Criminal Code that is relevant for your interview as well as your prelims examination. So we will also understand what is International Criminal Code. Okay, so we will understand all the details with respect to International Criminal Code apart from the smart public distribution system. Now, why it is in use? Why smart public distribution system is in use? So recently, if you look at this, Union Minister of Consumer Affairs, Food and Public Distribution, so he emphasized every state to implement the smart public distribution system. Okay, so the minister had asked every state to implement the smart public distribution system. So because of this reason, it is in news. Now, before we discuss about smart PDS, we need to understand what is smart PDS. Here, smart public distribution system. So it usually refers to a scheme for the modernization and reforming the public distribution system through instilling technology. Okay, so overall smart PDS, smart public distribution system, emphasis will be on using technology in the public distribution system in order to further modernize the existing public distribution system, right? So inherently the public distribution system has been facing a lot of challenges. For example, exclusion errors is one challenge that the public distribution system has been facing while identifying the beneficiaries for the particular scheme. Now, if you remember, the beneficiaries for the public distribution system are identified by the respective state governments. So therefore, exclusion errors is a major problem. So apart from exclusion errors, corruption as well as leakages are another major problem that the public distribution system has been facing. So if we talk about the technological challenges that the public distribution system has been facing, so several individuals still lack access to the food grains under the public distribution system. So therefore, overall, this smart PDS bring in more and more reforms into the existing public distribution system by modernizing it technologically. So therefore, the current challenges that we are facing in the public distribution system would be addressed by modernizing it and bringing in more technology through the smart PDS. So this is the overall objective of bringing smart public distribution system. So what is the aim? We have already talked about the challenges and how the smart public distribution system would address those challenges. So however, here the smart public distribution system has certain aims or certain objectives. So what are those aims of the public distribution system? So it prevents the leakage of food grains. So in the public distribution system, leakage of food grains is a major problem. Okay, so while it is transported from the food grain storage centers to the public distribution centers, so the food grains either diverted or they are leakaged. So because of this reason, the intended beneficiaries were not able to receive the food grains allocated or entitled for them. Okay, so smart PDS would address the problem of leakage in food grains. Okay, so this is the first aim. And what is the second aim? Second aim is to increase the efficiency of the distribution chain. So when I say distribution chain in the public distribution system, okay, so it has, okay, a particular distribution chain. For example, from the farmers, the government would procure, and on behalf of the government, the Food Corporation of India procure the food grains from the farmers. So then the food grain would be sent to the buffer stocks, and from the buffer stocks, these entitled food grains would be transported to the respective states, and from the states to those fair price shops. So from the fair price shops, the food grains would be given to the entitled beneficiaries from these fair price shops. So this entire chain is called as the distribution chain. So the objective of smart PDS is to ensure the efficiency in this distribution chain of the food grains. So the third most important aim that we need to understand is that it will ensure the availability of such provisions for migrants. So provisions here actually mean that the entitlement of food grains for the migrants. So generally what happens with the public distribution system? So earlier feature was migrant laborers used to migrate from one state to another state, one district to another district. So generally what happens with the migrant workers? They usually not able to receive these food grains where they are migrated to. So however, recently the central government has introduced the ration card port scheme. Okay, so therefore this new initiative, that is smart PDS, would also ensure that the migrant laborers would be able to get the entitled food grains. Okay, so this is also can be done through the smart public distribution system. Please remember, as we have already discussed, that technology would be the major factor in the smart public distribution system. So for this, nationwide portability of the public distribution system was launched by the government. Okay, so this nationwide portability of the public distribution system would ensure that the entitled provisions are given to the intended beneficiaries across the country. So whether they migrated from one state to another state, one district to another district. So therefore the nationwide portability ensures that the intended beneficiaries would receive their entitled amount of food grains. So after that, it ensures food security of every individual, who is migrated, who is poor, who is vulnerable. Okay, so now if you can understand the National Food Security Act, that was passed in the year 2013. So this has mandated that every individual should receive certain entitled amount of food grains. Okay, so total 80% of India's population would be covered as part of the National Food Security Act. Okay, so 80% of the population would be covered under the National Food Security Act. So after that, we need to understand that what is this smart public distribution system. So how it usually works. So at the fair price shops, you generally see these kind of a point of sale machines. Okay, so these point of sale machines also work with your biometric. So these generally work with your biometric, or Aadhaar seeding is already done Aadhaar seeding is already done with these food grain distribution point of sale machines. So generally what happens with these machines, the ghost beneficiaries would be prevented in the public distribution system. So thereby the overall objective is minimizing the levels of corruption in the public distribution system, as much as possible minimizing the levels of corruption, leakages, and the ghost beneficiaries. So who are the ghost beneficiaries? So ghost beneficiaries are people who are taking the entitled food grains of another individual. Okay, so they're taking the benefits of another individual, so they are called as ghost beneficiaries, right? So in this context, how smart public distribution system usually work? So in this particular system, that is smart public distribution system, the government will issue smart ration cards. Okay, so every beneficiary of the public distribution system is provided with a smart ration card. Okay, so now every beneficiary will have these smart ration cards, and with these smart ration cards, every individual so should get the entitled benefits at the fair price shop. Okay, so for the beneficiaries of the family. So the first step with the smart public distribution system is issuing smart ration cards by the government. So after that, when the government issues these smart ration cards, the fingerprint template of the particular beneficiary is already registered with these fair price shops. Okay, so they are already recorded with the smart ration cards that were already issued by the government. So therefore this fingerprint template and these smart ration cards, so in combination of fingerprint template and smart ration cards, will record all the transactions that have been taking place in a month. Whoever is getting the benefits of the public distribution system, and when they are taking their entitled provision of food grains, everything will be recorded based on these smart ration cards and fingerprint template of those beneficiaries who already recorded in these smart ration cards. Okay, so when we talk about this initiative was launched by the Department of Food and Public Distribution. So please also remember that Department of Food and Public Distribution is under the administrative jurisdiction of Ministry of Consumer Affairs, Food and Public Distribution. Okay, so this department which has launched these smart ration cards to every intended beneficiaries, right? So as I have already explained you that the smart ration card initiative is a technologically driven initiative. Okay, so this is backed by the technology, and this smart ration card initiative used to reduce the human intervention in the distribution of food grains, and it will also promote the automation in the public distribution system. Okay, so this is the overall objective of smart public distribution system. Okay, so this is the overall objective of the smart public distribution system. So however, in this context, one thing that we have to understand, that recently the government has launched various schemes, various programs to support the public distribution system. So we need to understand what are those schemes which were launched by the central government. So we all know that the central government has launched one very important scheme, that is with respect to the public distribution system, and that scheme is Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Ann Yojana. Okay, so this was the scheme that was launched by the central government. Okay, so this scheme was launched by the central government during the COVID-19 pandemic to provide relief to the poor. Okay, so if you can see on the right side of the screen, so this Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Ann Yojana will provide free food grains. Okay, so it will provide free food grains under the particular scheme. Okay, so 5 kg free food grain to be provided to the poor for the month of May and June. In fact, this free food grain scheme has also been further extended by the government for the next 2 years. Okay, so second important provision with respect to Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Anna Yojana is around 80 crore beneficiaries will get the free food grains under Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Anna Yojana. Okay. See, as I have already told you that under National Food Security Act, 80 crore beneficiaries would be given food grains. So therefore, under this very scheme, that is Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Anna Yojana, around 80 crore beneficiaries will get free food grains. Okay, so this particular scheme is in line with this government, the current government's commitment to poor, and it will provide food grains to 80 crore people, and entitled food grain was 5 kilograms per 5 kilogram for each beneficiary. Okay. So the next very important scheme that was launched by the central government was open market sale scheme. As I have already told you that the Food Corporation of India procure food grains. Okay, Food Corporation of India procures food grains from the farmers on behalf of the government. So then the food grains would be stored in the buffer stocks for the distribution to across different states. So in the open market sale scheme, what happens? So whenever the Food Corporation of India has procured surplus stocks, whenever it has surplus stocks of wheat and rice for the purpose of for the purpose of public distribution system, whenever it has a surplus stocks, so it will sell the wheat and rice surplus stocks at a predetermined prices through e-auction in the open market. Okay, so it will sell these surplus stocks of wheat and rice through a predetermined prices through e-auction in the open market, and this is called as open market sale scheme, and this scheme is implemented by the Food Corporation of India. So because I have already told you that the Food Corporation of India usually procure food grains from the farmers for the purpose of distributing them in the fair price shops. Okay, so after that the government has also launched this targeted public distribution system as well. See, all these schemes or all these points with respect to the public distribution system are very important, because public distribution system as a topic is directly mentioned in the general studies paper 3 of the UPSC syllabus. So therefore this topic is very important for the exam. Now the targeted public distribution system, so states were required to identify the poor for the delivery of food grains and for the distribution in a transparent and accountable manner. So in the sense that I've already told you that the public distribution system, the food grains would be provided by the central government. So at the issue price, okay, so the price at which the central government provide food grains to states is called as issue price. Okay, so this is the issue price. So however, the responsibility to identify the beneficiaries for this public distribution system usually lies with the respective state governments. So as part of this targeted public distribution system, the state governments identify the intended beneficiaries for the delivery of food grains under this targeted public distribution system. So however, the overall objective of this targeted public distribution system is to bring in more transparency. Okay, so bring in more transparency as well as accountability in the public distribution system. Okay, so how? By using technological interventions, we can bring more transparency and accountability in the existing public distribution system. So similar to this, the government has also launched Antyodaya Anna Yojana. Okay, so government also launched Antyodaya Anna Yojana. So this Antyodaya Anna Yojana usually targets the poorest of the poor. Okay, poorest of the poor, and as part of the Antyodaya Anna Yojana, irrespective of number of households, it provides 35 kilograms of entitled food grains to each family as part of Antyodaya Anna Yojana. So it usually covers the poorest of the poor sections of the society. Okay, so apart from that, its major aims or the objectives are reducing the hunger among the poorer segments, particularly people who are below poverty line. Okay, so below poverty line people constitute the poorest of the poor segments in the society. So apart from that, the Antyodaya Anna Yojana involved identification of around 1 crore poorest of the poor families from the amongst the members of the BPL families who are covered under the targeted public distribution system. So similar to this, the government has launched One Nation, One Ration Card scheme, and this is in line with the nationwide portability. So this is in line with the nationwide portability of ration cards. So that was introduced by the central government. So this essentially means that one individual from one state, for example, one individual from Madhya Pradesh, he can receive food grains in Rajasthan. Okay, so he's usually migrated from Madhya Pradesh to Rajasthan, and in Rajasthan at the fair price shop, this individual from Rajasthan can get the food grains under this nationwide portability scheme of ration card, which is also part of the One Nation, One Ration Card scheme. Okay, so the scheme intended, or it will nationalize a beneficiary's ration card by process called Aadhaar seeding. Okay, so by Aadhaar seeding, you can eliminate the duplication of beneficiaries, you can eliminate exclusion errors, and you can also eliminate the ghost beneficiaries. Okay, so deduplication can be eliminated. So apart from deduplication, ghost beneficiaries can also be eliminated, and exclusion errors would also be minimized significantly. So therefore, the Aadhaar seeding overall ensures that the beneficiary can pick up her or his entitled food grains from any fair price shop in the country. Okay, so as I have explained this process, he is entitled to get his food grains from any fair price shop in the country. So after that, the integrated management of the public distribution system. Okay, integrated management of public distribution system. So this was also launched by the central government for the reforming or revival of the existing public distribution system. So this integrated management of the public distribution system entitles food grains from any fair price shops of their choice anywhere in the country, and this is also similar to this One Nation, One Ration Card scheme. So after that, the government has also launched National Food Security Act. About this scheme we have already learnt about. Okay, so the National Food Security Act of 2013, it provides a legal right to every person, okay, so to get the entitled benefits under the public distribution system. Okay, so he is entitled to get the subsidized food grains from the government, and the National Food Security Act of 2013 has provided a legal right for every individual, for every household, to receive the food grains at the subsidized prices. So this is what the National Food Security Act has been talking about. So the government has launched various programs. Okay, so open market sale of this food grains, surplus food grains, and apart from that, Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Anna Yojana scheme was also launched, Antyodaya Anna Yojana, and integrated management of public distribution system, One Nation, One Ration Card scheme, and also the National Food Security Act of 2013. These were the major initiatives that were launched by the government for the revival or reforming the existing public distribution system. So in this image that we are seeing on the screens, it is particularly with respect to the public distribution system. So how this public distribution system usually works. Public distribution system. So at the top we can see the farmer, because he was the one who cultivates both wheat and rice. So from the farmer, the food grains would be procured by providing him the minimum support prices. So the procurement would be done by the the Food Corporation of India on behalf of the central government. So once the Food Corporation of India procures food grains from the farmers. So these food grains would be distributed to the respective state governments. Okay, so whatever food grains which are procured from the farmers by the Food Corporation of India would be given to the respective state governments for the purpose of public distribution system, for the purpose of ensuring food security to the population. Okay, for the purpose of providing food security for the population. So however, this price is called as central issue price. So the price at which central government provides food grains to state governments is called as central issue price. So now the food grains are with the state governments, and from the state governments the food grains would be further transported and distributed at the fair price shops across the state. Okay, so why? This is for the purpose of distribution of food grains as part of the public distribution system. Now this, from this food price shops, the food grains would be provided or given to the intended beneficiaries. So sale of food grains would be given to the intended beneficiaries under the same central issue price where the central government has provided food grains to the respective state governments. Okay, so this is the overall public distribution or food distribution chain as part of the public distribution system. Okay, so when you write answer, you can also draw this diagram for a better answers, so or it create more impact in your answers. So however, the public distribution system is not free of challenges. So it has been facing a wide variety of challenges, number of challenges. So firstly, there's a lack of credibility and dynamic data on the consumption and mobility patterns within the public distribution system. Okay, so this is also challenge. When we have a credible data, so that gives us data driven or evidence-based policy making. Okay, so that leads to evidence-based or data-driven policy making, and thereby bringing in more efficiency in the working of the public distribution system. So however, if you look at the current public distribution system, we lack the credible and dynamic data, and thus remains a challenge in the public distribution system. So after that, inefficient delivery of critical central welfare schemes so is also another major challenge. So when I say inefficient delivery, still the public distribution system has been facing several challenges such as exclusion errors that we have discussed earlier, and corruption, and then leakages, within the public distribution system. So therefore it has been facing all these type of challenges, and that ultimately lead to the inefficient delivery of central sector welfare schemes. Okay, so there are a number of gaps in the implementation of the public distribution system. So when we talk about the gaps in implementation, there's a lack of effective cooperation. Okay, lack of effective cooperation with central and state governments, so with respect to the public distribution system, and that is where it has been creating a lot of gaps in the implementation of this public distribution system. So after that, we need to talk about the inaccurate identification of the households and leaking delivery system. Okay, so this is also one of the major challenge. Okay, so there is an inaccurate identification of the various households, and when we are not able to identify those households as accurately as possible, so several beneficiaries, genuine beneficiaries, would be left out from this public distribution system, and that would be not a good signal for country's food security ambitions, because we are fighting with hunger, malnutrition, and even poverty. So therefore, the beneficiaries have to be identified in a foolproof manner. So after that, it has also been facing problems like exclusion errors and inclusion of false or ghost beneficiaries in the public distribution system, and that also leads to the larger inefficiency of the system. And similar to this, the leakage of food grains, corruption in the public distribution system, and leakages during the transportation and at fair price shops. So all these factors have been becoming a major challenges in the fair implementation of the public distribution system. So in this context, we need to talk about the reforms as well. Okay, various reforms that have to be undertaken to further revamp the existing public distribution system. Okay, revamping public distribution system is also part of the syllabus in mains examination. First and foremost, measure or reform is standardization of the public distribution system. Okay, so standardization of this public distribution system operation through the use of technology and integrating the same with various distribution agencies would ensure that the public distribution system is working in a foolproof manner and bringing in more efficiency in the distribution of these food grains to the intended beneficiaries. So secondly, we need to talk about the technology-led reforms such as the recently introduced smart public distribution system. Okay, so public distribution system is very important for a country like India with a huge population still under the poverty. And what pandemic has did, so because of the pandemic, more and more individuals have slipped into the cycle of poverty. So therefore, technology will play a crucial role in further strengthening the public distribution system. Okay, so these technology-led reforms will overcome the state level technological limitations of the public distribution system with respect to IT, hardware, software, and technical manpower. So there are certain limitations within the state, and when we when we bring in the technology-led reforms, so it helps us overcome the limitations in the technology that state has been implementing in the public distribution system. Okay, so these technology-led reforms ultimately institutionalize an integrated central system for all public distribution system related operations across all states and union territories. So these were the reforms that have to be undertaken across the different states, undertaken by the central government for the revamping of public distribution system. Okay, so ultimately efficient functioning of the public distribution system will fight the poverty, will fight hunger, malnutrition, especially hidden hunger, about which we have talked in yesterday's lecture. Okay, so this is all about the public distribution system, and if you really like our work, please like our video and also subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thank you.